we are reading from the autobiography of the ex-colored man, of an ex-colored man. Very good work of fiction. These two are nonfiction, but this is a fiction. Um, but it deals with the what we call now mixed race. They used to call mulatto um, person. So let's get into it. My mother was kept very busy with her sewing. Sometimes she would have another woman helping her. I think she must have derived a fair income from her work. I know too that at least once each month she received a letter. I used to watch for the postman get the letter and run to her with it. Whether she was busy or not, she would take it and instantly thrust it into her bosom. I never saw her read one of these letters. I knew later that they contained money and what was to her more than money. As busy as she generally was, she found time, however, to teach me my letters and figures and how to spell a number of easy words. Always on Sunday evenings she opened a little square piano and picked out hymns. I can recall now that whenever she played hymns from the book, her tempo was always decidedly largo. Sometimes on other evenings, when she was not sewing, she would play simple accompaniments to some old Southern songs which she sang. In these songs she was freer, because she played them by ear. Those evenings on which she opened the little piano were the happiest hours of my childhood. Whenever she started toward the instrument, I used to follow her with all the interest and irrepressible joy that a pampered pet dog shows when a package is opened in which he knows there is a sweet bit for him. I used to stand by her side and often interrupt and annoy her by chiming in with strange harmonies which I found on either the high keys, on the treble, or the low keys of the bass. I remember that I had a particular fondness for the black keys. Always on such evenings, when the music was over, my mother would sit with me in her arms, often for a very long time. She would hold me close, softly crooning some old melody without words, all the while gently stroking her face against my head. Many and many a night I thus fell asleep. I can see her now, her great dark eyes looking into the fire. To where? No one knew but her. The memory of that picture was more than once kept me from straying too far from the place of purity and safety in which her arms held me. At the very early age I began to thump on the piano alone, and it was not long before I was able to pick out a few tunes. When I was 7 years old, I could play by ear all the hymns and the songs that my mother knew. I had also learned the names of the notes in both clefs, but I preferred not to be hampered by notes. About this time several ladies from whom my mother sewed heard me play, and they persuaded her that I should at once be put under a teacher. So arrangements were made for me to study the piano with a lady who was a fairly good musician. At the same time, arrangements were made for me to study my books with this lady's daughter. My music teacher had no small difficulty at first in pinning me down to the notes. If she played my lesson over for me, I invariably attempted to reproduce the required sound, without the slightest recourse to the written characters. Her daughter, my other teacher, also had her worries. She found that in reading, whenever I came to words that were difficult or unfamiliar, I was prone to bring my imagination to the rescue and read from the picture. She was laughingly she has laughingly told me since then that I would sometimes substitute whole sentences and even paragraphs from what meaning I thought the illustrations conveyed. She said she not only was sometimes amused at the fresh treatment I would give an author's subject, but when I gave some new and sudden turn to the plot of the story, often grew interested and even excited in listening to hear what kind of denouement I would bring about. But I am sure this was not due to dullness, for I made rapid progress in both my music and my books. Homeschooling is coming back. You're going to have to do it. You had the child and you owe it to them to develop their minds. We also deal with child support. Child support is not new. Courts make people do it, but people used to do it. And here's the key: most men want to pay child support. If you have a man that's not paying child support, he probably can't. More times than not, unless somebody's just really bitter, angry, or just really, I don't want to say evil. That's not the right thing, but I guess selfish or greedy or something. Um, so we have child support in the 1860s, and we have homeschooling, and we're going back to communities, homeschooling. Now, the thing is, are we going back to segregated, official segregation? Because let's be honest, black and white people are still segregated. We mostly live in different places, and for the most part, it's getting to the point where we might work at the same place, but not in the same positions. So I've been talking with a few people, and we were talking about what things would look like if we went back to legal segregation, official segregation. Um, if you think that that's crazy, it's 2020, and anything can go. Anything can be suggested, and anything can be embraced. Until next time, I appreciate your support and ask that you continue to support me, pass this around, friends. And I also say take care of your mind, take care of your body, and be safe.